My microphone's been off all this time? Guys, has my microphone been off all this time? Yeah, I bet it has. Unbelievable. Well, what a perfect night to be talking about the mistakes we made. I'm so glad that I hit ISO recording. Crazy. I did not know that was muted. That's the downside of having my phone right there. I can't quite see channel 1 on my ATEM, on my RodCaster Pro. So, man, I am so sorry. Yeah, I need to add that to my list. So let's just start tonight. We're going to talk about the mistakes I've made live streaming. Let's just cut to number 1, not unmuting your microphone. Because when you go from the intro video, you don't want your microphone on, to live, I usually will hit the microphone mute button, roll the intro, go live, or actually go live, roll the intro, and then after the intro's done, or I'm ready to switch to this or for this video look, this camera, which is camera 2 in my studio, then I hit the unmute button. I cannot believe I just did the first part of my post show. At least you guys can read my comments. So sorry about that. Anyway, so let's talk about 2 things tonight. What I'm going to do about monetizing my channel. Thank you for your patience. You guys are amazing. I must have missed that in the chat. But anytime I have a mic not unmuted, please blow up my chat until I see it. That's the one time I will thumbs up you for multiple multiple chat messages over and over again. So I am ISO recording. I won't have any audio on those ISO recordings either because that mic's muted and it's only recording what I'm sending to the ATEM. So again, I can't fix the beginning of this show. So it's a mistake you don't want to make. So I've listed 10 things and a bonus one, and that was one of them on my list. And let me share some mistakes I've made live streaming and what I want to do to fix it. The downside of being as we're talking about not unmuting your microphone, and that's not making sure your audio is good. So I made that mistake in my studio tour. I didn't test the lapel mic. I have 2 different mics I can plug into my Sekonic. Is it a Sekonic? I believe so. Wireless kit. And so I have the Pro version microphone, and it's lower gain. Like this is a very low gain microphone. Where if I was to grab another microphone in the studio like a pod mic, it has a higher gain. So most people use a cloud lifter with this microphone. I have not put a cloud lifter on it. But I guarantee if I did get a cloud lifter, it's going to sound a little bit better and have better gain and maybe introduce less noise or just be richer. And I just have been reluctant to add one more thing in the signal chain that actually needs phantom power, because this is not a phantom power mic. And if you do get a cloud lifter or anything else, you're going to have to add phantom power to it. And I just don't like to add anything else into my signal chain. And the signal chain is from the microphone through the mic cord into the board, the gain that's on the board. And if it's not real high gain, would rather live with it. If I can make it work, then add in a cloud lifter. But I do recommend them to people who have never owned a recording studio and know anything about what those can introduce to the signal chain. So make sure you do buy a brand that is highly rated if you are going to get a signal booster, which is what a cloud lifter is. They make one for one mic for about $139 US, and they make one for 2 mics. So if you're going to live stream, not only, and this is just mistakes I've made, you got to make sure you have good audio. You want to check the gain on all the mics. Now tonight I can go to this mic, and so the gain should still be good because I've checked it. It's going to sound different because this microphone actually is a podium microphone that I've used in my studio when I have my recording studio as a talkback mic. I've had it all these years. It does need phantom power. I have it in channel 4, and it picks up the room. And it's really, in reality, if you're going to do any training, I usually use that microphone if I'm doing some training in my studio, where you guys, because this is such an audio video driven venue here on YouTube, I'm using the best microphone I have, the one that sounds the best on my voice. And then I've been making mistakes of moving this boom arm where I'm at. So that's why I want to central locate everything. So if I turn over here to the Wacom tablet, I want to try to have this microphone, or if I need to answer something on my laptop, I want to try to have this microphone centrally located, and I want my eyes to be better located. But sound is so important. So if you're going to get up and go to the other table, you need to make sure, like I did on Sunday's live stream, I made sure those microphones sounded good before Christopher ever got here, and then I had him do a sound test with me before I got up from this desk. But making sure your audio sounds great, and most people, including myself, would say it's probably in the top 3 most important things. If you're going to do a video event, it's got to be in the top 3. And if you're doing a podcast, it's way higher than that. It's probably the main thing, and everything else follows underneath that. Having good sound, good audio is crucial. So again, that's the first mistake I made already by not muting my mic. So making sure your audio sounds good, making sure you can mute your mic, and if you can automate that with a Stream Deck button or some other way of automating that, then do it. And have it like it's like in a studio. If we were recording, most studios have those big red recording things outside, so no one walks in by mistake, because you don't want to lose that take because someone decides to bust in the door of the control room or in the recording room. So they had those big on air for radio stations, and they had those big recording lights in the studios, and that's super important to make sure that you have control over what's going in that sound. The other thing too about sound, I just want to say, and we're going to move on, is that room noise is really crucial. I used to have my HyperDeck Mini with the original fan. Not the issue in the newer HyperDecks that came out this summer, but the older HyperDecks are very noisy. I hear the same thing about other Blackmagic design equipment, and so keep that in mind. But they add noise. A lot of people don't even want their HyperDeck Minis on their desk or anywhere near where their microphones are because they're so loud. A laptop can get loud. That's another thing. If you can keep most of the work out of your laptop or out of your PC, then those fans don't have to crank up, and there's settings inside a PC and a Mac and a laptop to change a lot of times now what the fan does. So if it's under a heavy load, the fan gets louder. If it's not under a heavy load, the fan gets quieter, and that's super important. So I did an upgrade in my HyperDeck Mini, changed the fan out. And again, thanks to Tony at QuickTech Solutions, because he did a demo. I've watched demos before on YouTube, but never something as easy as Tony's was. So if you want to change the fan in your HyperDeck, it will void the warranty, so be careful if it's under warranty. But if you want less of a fan noise in the older HyperDeck Minis or the older HyperDecks in general, then go to Tony's channel and watch his video on how to change the fan. I did a change the fan video as well, but I still believe Tony's is a great video. And if I had to tell you which one to watch, watch his first. And if you want to watch both of them, you can watch mine as well. But now my fan is very quiet, and that's important too. So I have my speakers off during a live stream, so you're not getting any overflow. I turned my phone down, so even though I'm monitoring the chat and the live stream on my phone, I turn that down, and then I try to control any sound in the studio by muting my mic when we're playing an intro video or an outro video, so it's not looping back through in the live stream. So again, thank you guys so much for your understanding. No one's fired me yet. It's good to see Dennis C here. So man, sorry Dennis, that having that experience. I apologize deeply. It's one of the mistakes that I had on my list tonight. Let's go on. So number 1 in my list was not making audio sound good, forgetting to unmute. It's right here in writing before I ever did it. So it's a mistake I've made a number of times, and I apologize. It's something that we've got to get a handle of. We're going to live stream. And keeping the microphone levels right. And again, I had horrible peaking in Sunday's video. I've since then edited out that part because it was worthless. And thanks to someone in the chat letting my son who was monitoring the chat know that my lapel mic was peaking. So that portion of the video is gone. So if you weren't there live, you won't see that ever again. And there's other mistakes I made. Having your lighting wrong, and I wanted to talk about my Sekonic light meter. I'm going to turn this on real quick. And has a little on button right here on the side. We'll go to my camera, overhead camera here. So you can see that a little bit better. zoom in. So semi in focus. So I have the ability to set the aperture. I can set the frame rate. I can set the ISO. I can set how fast I'm filming, like at 29.9 frames per second, which is what I'm doing tonight. I have my ATEM set for that. So again, in this little light meter, I have the ability to go, okay, so I have this light on. I have 5.6 as my aperture. I set that. I'm filming at 29 frames per second. That's the difference between a photograph, right? You don't have that setting when you're shooting a photograph. You just have frame rate, ISO, and aperture. But when you get into video, you have those three plus one more. So the triangle becomes a rectangle. So you have aperture, which is how wide and narrow the lens is, how much light it lets in. Obviously, if it's really wide, it lets more light in. So you have to adjust for that. Then you have the ability of frame rate, and frame rate will affect the light as well. So I'm shooting at 29.97 frames per second. You're supposed to shoot a shutter speed double that, right? So if you're shooting 30 frames per second, it's 60. If your camera only does 60, so even if you're shooting 29.97, you're gonna shoot at 60, a shutter speed of 60. So you got your aperture at 5.6, you have your shutter speed at 60. I'm shooting at 29.97 frames per second, so I can program all that in, and then I can meter either with this out, which gives me an average of the room, whatever this little dome can see, or I can pull it out. I even have a spot meter right here in this bag that I can take off and put on. This is what I'll be using for landscape. So if you want to look way out there and see what the light is reflecting off the lake so that you get a good exposure, you want to show that sunset with the light off the lake. You want to make sure you don't overexpose your shot. You can use this light meter and look way out there and pinpoint what the brightness is and what you need to set your camera at to give you an idea if you need to use a filter, whatever you're going to do. But I can now take a shot of this with it out or in, and if it's in, I just want to read this light on my face, and it says I should be at 5.6, which is what I'm at. Now I have my new hair light up here that I added today, which is one of my, let me back up here. So it's just like this. I took the softbox off, and it's shining down on my head in the back to be a hair light. I can take a shot of that hair light. I have this light over here, so I really need to close this off. And if I really want an accurate shot of that light, I'm going to have to turn this one off. So I turn it off, take a shot, top of my head, and that's at 4.5. Now, why would I have that light at 4.5? Well, because that's a hair light. If this is at 5.6, right, I want that at 4.5. What it's telling me is that that's brighter than this light. And it's kind of hard to explain. I won't go into that tonight. So then I have this light, which is kind of a fill light. It's another, I have an Elgato key light right there, and I have an Elgato key light right there. And then I have a regular UL 150 up there, and I'll put links to those in the description tonight. And if you use those Amazon links to purchase them, I'll get a kickback. That's one way to support the channel. We'll talk about other ways to support the channel here in a few minutes. But it's at 4.5, and then if I take a dome in shot of that light on the side of my face where it's going to fall, then it'll give me a reading. I don't know what happened here. Let me try that again. Yeah, it's super low because I change the settings when I turn it on and off. So to adjust those lights, to get them right, you can either look at the picture on the screen or you can get a light meter and adjust them correctly. I would want this a little dimmer than this light, so I would want that to be my key light. This would be a kind of a fill light. It also adds a little light to my shoulder and my desk because it's serving two purposes. It's not just a talking head video where I set up the lights just for me. It also has to help light up my desk. And then I have that light on tonight with a filter and a barn doors on it. And the filter I have is actually like a grid, and that keeps the light centrally located, makes it more like a beam, and keeps it from spilling on everything else around it. And I can aim that right down on the back of my head, and that's giving me some of this light up here. And so I can turn that off, and you can see the difference. You can see that light around my head went away, and that is what we'd call a fill, backlight, hair light, whatever you want to call it. It's a separation light, and it's designed to separate me from the background. Now, if the whole room's lit the same, and tonight, you know, it's pretty bright, then it doesn't show you as much depth. But if I was to turn the lights off behind me, like, again, I have these on these little switches. So if I turned off the backlight, then this hair light provides a little bit more separation. Now, it's a little closer to this side of my head than that side of head. If you were doing this right, you would have a separate hair light straight behind me. Pretty much if I'm like this or like this, it does a good job. But you can see as I turn this way, the light's changing a little bit on my head. It's still doing a great job because it's so up high, shooting down on top of my head. So I'll turn those lights back on. Again, I just have a switch I bought from Home Depot. So I've gone back to this microphone. So now that's one of the things that I want to fix, that I want to use the main microphone that shoots the whole desk when I'm moving around and showing things and turning around, because it does a better job of picking up this area. And then this microphone, if I'm just talking directly to the camera and I'm not doing a lot of tutorials. And that's one of the mistakes I want to fix. I want to make sure my lighting looks good every week. And I could go so much as look at the lights back in the corner and see what the f-stop is for those. Then I can see how much light's dropping off between me and the background, and that's going to help create depth. I can also go test my MC lights, which were on my little corner stand. I have 3 lights on there shining on those shelves, as well as my great video maker 50 RSs, which are on the auto pole, which you can see in this wide shot. So, and I gave a tour to all of that in the studio tour on Sunday. So go back and check that out. And I will do timestamps later this week, so you can go directly to my overhead lights if you want to. So a Sekonic light meter will help you with lights, making sure that your lighting is good. Number 3, not having a good plan or having too much planned, or just going too long. Now, I went too long in the first live stream tonight. I got excited. I forgot a couple things when I was showing you how to use After Effects, and so I extended my show, and I've been doing a pretty good job within 5 minutes or so of getting to the post show, because I want to respect people's time. So not having a plan or doing something in a live stream that would be better for a video is another thing that Tom Buck said in his top 5. So some things would just be better to produce and upload video for. Short, to the point, might not be interested to my live stream audience, may not be interested in that, may not be a question on their mind. So I can just post that on my channel and let anybody find it. That's one of the things to do as well. So making sure you have a plan, making sure you are prepared is super important. Number 3 or 4, missing questions and comments in the chat and allowing chat to derail the show. I think it's really important to follow the chat. I've made that mistake many times. I think not responding to the chat, not identifying people who are there. This is a live stream that you're joining me, so I want to give a shout out to your name, what you have on the screen. If you give me your regular name and I see it, I want to actually use it with your permission. And I want to acknowledge that you're here, and I want to pay attention to the chat. So like right now, going back through the chat, and again, as you are adding chat, if you don't put a Q, if you have a question, it's harder for me to see it, because on my screen, if you've ever done a live stream, you can get 30 or 40 chat messages by the time you get to the Q&A. And so you really have to pay attention to it. And so like saying, asking people to tell me what their favorite food is, or what their favorite cartoon is, or something about you, which is I did in the very beginning of the show before I had no microphone. Tony said pizza is his favorite food. And I think that's really cool that he responded. He said he's looking forward to the post show. And that again is Tony at QuickTech Solutions. Also, I can join technology on here telling me there's no audio, and obviously I wasn't paying attention, and I apologize. Again, I made the mistake again tonight. I want to clean up those mistakes for you and for my own embarrassment and frustration, because not having your audio on, or not having good lighting, or not having a plan, or not following the chat and paying attention to the conversation is super a problem if you're not doing it. So it's not really that much more interesting. Controlling says it's more interesting this way. It's like super ventriloquism. Yeah, except for no voice. But it is similar to being a ventriloquist. Salmon for dinner. Is that your favorite food? I'd love to know if that's one of your favorites. Obviously, I think you liked it. That was Controlling Technologies earlier in the chat. I was really enjoying what I was saying. Gosh. Tony says, technology, you crack me up. Yeah, technology does crack me up. It messed up tonight's post show. Bring on Ratso. Yeah, we'll get Ratso out. He is going to, I had a delay in the repairs for him. So that's on my agenda this week. It's on my schedule, on my calendar. But again, I'm not making excuses, but with what took place in our family, I'm actually helping my mother-in-law sell a couple vehicles. She has a handicap van that we're going to sell. She also has a truck that we have a buyer for tomorrow. But all of those things I'm trying to help with as well. So added some extra things to my plate till we get mom settled after my father-in-law's passing. So Freddie laughs. Ponce, Ratso is actually controlling Keith. Yeah, that's hilarious. Freddie says, turn the audio on. Please turn audio on. That's from Dennis C. Sorry, Dennis, again. I apologize. Maybe he's doing this on purpose to emphasize the title, mistakes I made in live streaming. I wish that was the excuse, but it worked out great if you thought it worked like that. But no, I actually did not unmute my microphone after the intro video. And I did break my routine, so be careful. My routine would be letting it play out and then going through the steps that I've trained my brain to do. Well, I started a little early, 30 seconds early, and because of that, my brain didn't go to where it normally goes to, so keep that in mind. I think he's talking about the Wacom tablet. No, I wasn't. But who knows what I was talking about unless you can read lips. Okay, caught up with when I got the mic on. Hence the title. Thank you, Tony, from QuickTech Solutions. Welcome to the chat, Keith. Yeah, it's great to join you guys. Maybe he needs a bigger screen just for the chat. Yes, I do. I'm working on that. We literally couldn't have possibly chatted anymore. That's funny. That's from Controlling Technologies. Freddie, please hit the like button for Keith. Thank you, Freddie. We hit the API rate limit for YouTube, trying to tell you. Yeah, you did. Keith, create a start show macro and make a button on the Stream Deck. Include turn mic on in the macro. Here's a weird thing. I can't turn on, I'm not muting the microphone in the ATEM Mini Pro, and the Extreme. I probably should do that, because then the macro would turn the audio on and off and just leave the RodCaster Pro alone. So thank you for that tip. I will probably make that change for next week's live. And I thought of that a while back, but completely forgot that I am feeding audio into my HOSA. That splits to two different locations other than my ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, but I can mute the main audio going in and out. But I also use the RodCaster Pro for Zoom, but I could also make a button for Zoom. And so thank you for that tip, Tony. Great tip. Controlling Technologies, yeah, but I watched your video on fans and got nervous because your fingers were bandaged. Yeah. I have a skin allergy that broke out when I went through some of the sickness I had. What it does is other things that you struggle with seem to come back or are triggered. And we won't talk about what that sickness is, but so it's taken a while for my hands to heal. So one of the ways they'll heal is to bandage them up. And I try to never have bandages on the times I'm doing videos, but that day I did. I did not hurt my hands from doing that fan upgrade. That was literally me covering up the mess on my thumb and on my finger right here. And it still broke out, but it's a lot better this week. No need to apologize. We learned from them. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dennis. Really am. 100% agree. Thank you, QuickTech Solutions, Tony. Mistakes we make. We'll get back to those here in a second. And Conjoin was the guy who was telling me about the peaked audio in the live chat that night, and I appreciate that, because one of the things that we can do when we're in a live stream with someone else is to keep them aware of that. And I think it would be wise, that's why I had Christopher here, but there was a point in the chat where he got distracted and wasn't paying attention to the chat, obviously, because, you know, how much, if there's no chat, what do you pay attention to? So he got caught up in the live stream being in the room with me, and he missed some of the things that were happening as well. So I hope I can say that won't happen again, but let's move on here. Where do you get your polos? These I just picked up. My wife picks them up. I've picked up some at Fred Meyer, some of these at Costco, some of these at other stores here in the Tri-Cities, but not one specific place. When I was working for the other company, we wore a lot of black and company blue colors. And so that was what managers kind of wore, black, and employees wore blue. So I was a manager for a while, so I wore black. So I had a bunch of different black polos that I got. Some of them had logos on them, but backup ones for events where I was going through 2 or 3 t-shirts a day at a hot location. I had a bunch of these extra ones that I could throw in my SUV and then change real quick. And I had a different name tag I could put on here. So logo tees from the company, and then these polos I bought with my own money to have extras with me. So if it was midnight and there was no lights on, it would probably say that I needed a bigger, wider aperture to get enough light in. And that was from Conjoined Technologies. Yeah, there is a Q&A tonight, so ask away. So we still have some time. I plan on going the full hour, even though I wasn't on right away for the post show. Let's get on to question number, or our live mistake. Catch your breath, Keith. Catch up with yourself. This is when Ratso would say something. So, or Grandpa Jones, like, you're a little old, aren't you? Yeah, I am a little old, Grandpa Jones. I apologize for that. So, well, let's get going. Yeah, we should get going. Where are you? That was freaky. Anyway, so missing questions and comments on the chat, huge. Number 5, testing the stream, hitting record and making sure the disk is not full. So always make sure that you check your disk that you're recording to. I'm recording right now. I can see that I have quite a bit of time left. I have a sign right here that tells me that, but if you're not watching it, it's very important before you go live to check and make sure. And when you have your YouTube video, or if you were using Facebook, you can actually broadcast to it without hitting the go live button. What that means is that I can see that I have a good signal coming from my ATEM. It's strong. I can see how I'm streaming. I can start playing a video, or I can put a camera on and move around a lot so I get a high bit rate. Because when I'm not moving, the bit rate will drop. And when I am moving, the bit rate can really go up, especially if you're playing a video with a lot of action. So keep that in mind. Check to make sure you have a good signal going to your live stream location, making sure everything's working right before you have to hit that go live button, and make sure you have enough disk space or hard drive space if you're recording in OBS or some other software. But if you're using like a YOLO box, or you're using something like the ATEM, you need to make sure that you're set up and ready to go. So always check that ahead of time. So I always do 2 or 3 tests before I go live. And now I'm actually using a different streaming key when I go to the post show. So I have to actually reset the streaming key in YouTube. Then I have to give it a few minutes to refresh the screen. I have to copy that into the software and make sure everything's ready to go. And So anyway, if you have any questions about that, let me know. So that's 5. Number 6 is shaky mobile camera video for my iPhone. So I've been doing a lot of iPhone video. I have my older mobile gimbal, and as long as I'm not using the super wide lens on my new 13 Pro by Apple iPhone, then this works fine. It does see part of the gimbal arm if I go to ultra wide, so I can use the photo lens, I can use the regular wide shot, but if I go to extra wide, you're gonna see part of this gimbal. So I'm gonna start using this more. They make these gimbals for phones, so I highly recommend that if you're going to use your phone for a mobile. I brought this into my live stream Sunday to try to fix that problem, but still, if you're panning with the pan motor too quickly, it's still going to make people seasick. But obviously, if you're going to use something mobile, the slower you can go and the more stable you can go, the better off you're going to be, and that's one of the mistakes that I've made. And I want to show things in my studio when we're talking about them. I hate talking about them and not showing them to you, but tonight, because I'm not set up to use that gimbal, I'm not using my mobile phone for a second or third or fourth camera, depending on how many I'm using that night. Okay, so that is number 6. Number 7, mistakes that I've made is macros are not tested and do not work when I'm live. This happens almost all the time, and I'll tell you why. If it's a HyperDeck macro, you may not have had the disk plugged in. Remember, on the new HyperDecks, you have the ability to record to an SSD drive. You can also record to a hub and have more than one. And if they're not hooked up or you haven't pressed in that little SSD card, so the one I'm not using right now in my HyperDeck Mini isn't pressed in. So if I want this to play in a macro, it better be plugged in. So you want to probably use one drive on the nights you're using your HyperDecks. So it's in the whole night when you hit that macro. And not only that, macros in the control software don't necessarily know where you're at. So if you're on this camera right here, if I was using this camera shot and I'm right here, and I had a macro program to switch from this camera to something else, like this camera angle with that graphic on the screen, to a outro video, then I better be in this spot. I better be on this camera. I better have that logo on. So not checking my macros, having a plan of when I'm going to change is super, super important. So if you are programming macros using the control software, remember to test your macros. And then if you're going to use Mix Effects to automate those macros, to have it real close to you or over on a table, then that Mix Effect app is going to show you what macros you've recorded. And they're going to either work or not work based on the integrity of those macros. And again, if the camera isn't on and you cut to it, or you're going to show a slide presentation on your PC and you have the live stream up, when you cut to that super source window, you're going to see your live stream, not your desktop, because you forgot to change your PC desktop. So keep that in mind. Some of my macros mean that I have to change screens and what I'm showing you on my Wacom tablet or on my desktop or on my PC. So, and tonight, actually, my BenQ monitor is not working for my PC. My PC got a little warm today. I rebooted it and it clicked out of 3-screen mode. And so even though I was able to show my Wacom tablet in the live stream tonight, I can't see the other desktop screen. So I have to just make my PowerPoint live and change slides on the Wacom tablet, where I like to use my mouse and change slides on my BenQ monitor, which you guys can't see. So I can make sure what slide's next. That way I can see the basically presentation view. But right now tonight I can't. So it's frustrating when those things will not work for you. So okay, so next, so shaky mobile camera, macros are not tested and work when you're live. Number 8, smooth transitions when you change desks. Another mistake I made was I thought I had the right macro program to get up from here, put the still image up of my desk, right, my layout for my podcast. Once that was up for a few seconds, I could talk about it on my lapel mic, right, over to my RodCaster mics. And it just didn't work. And that was a transition going from this microphone to lapel microphone over to that desk to my pod mics. And so smooth transitions, if you're going to move around your room, I think are important as well to keep your audience engaged. And I'm trying to fix all of these things. And the way I'm probably going to do that is use QuickTech Solutions advice and program macros. So, but when I'm changing from different microphones in the studio, I have to use my RodCaster Pro. And right now, it has ability to do some things automated only on the pads. I don't think I can automate any of the channels, and thus a Behringer or something else like that where you can automate it may be the answer in the future, but I don't have any plans right now to replace my RodCaster Pro. So smooth transitions, not only from camera to camera at your desk, but smooth transitions when you leave your desk to go show something else. And again, I do lots of things in the studio. I have the podcast desk. I also use it for unboxings. I do some of my training videos over there when I want to isolate a single piece of equipment. I also have the chair set, which is up right now. I can use an overhead boom microphone or lapel microphones and be over there. I also can sit and add one more chair in here and play Xbox on the big screen TV. And again, even this big screen TV times out, so it just powers off after a certain period of time. And so I have to refire it up and go back into picture mode. And again, checking things like that. Again, a mistake that timed out in the middle of my live stream. I'm not paying attention to all the details even behind me. So there you go. And after a couple hours, my MC lights batteries will go out because they're battery powered. So you may see some of the lights over this shoulder go out over time. And I even have one up here on my shelf just to light up the things on my shelf in case I cut to a camera direction that way. So smooth transitions. Number 9, bad video and bad audio with guests. So when you bring in a guest, one of the things that I have seen and one of the things I had trouble with when I was bringing Adam Tao in to my show is having problems with audio or having a bad video footage. And Zoom has a tendency when there's not a good enough video on that end or on my end, it will take that video that's 1080p coming from Adam Tao's studio at home, and by the time it gets to me in Zoom, it's rendered down, choppy, and the audio gets out of sync. So if you're going to bring in guests, find a way, if possible, to do it without those issues. And that's why I haven't had a guest on for a while, because I got to tell you, very stressful the last couple times. I had Adam Tao on. I want to represent him right. I want to represent him correctly. I want him to have the best image on my show as possible in every guest. So I'm still looking into ways of bringing guests in and having better quality audio. And a lot depends on the internet on their end, whatever tool you're using. If you're using Video Ninja through OBS, which is a free add-in plugin, or if you're using Zoom, or if you're using Skype, or you're using some other software to bring in guests, making sure that you have good video and good audio when your guest comes on your live stream, in my opinion, is a mistake that I've made, and I do not want to make those mistakes going forward. Number 9, number 10, here it is. Drum roll, please. When I demo something, help the audience see what I'm doing and not just listen. So the hardest thing is I can see it, right? So we have different video angles. Again, I want to replace my Canon 5D Mark III because I have to turn it off and back on again because it went dead. So when I cut to that camera, I want it to come on the screen, and I want to be able to show you these things, and I want you to be able to see them when I'm talking about them. So this timed out, so I turn it on. So something like the Sekonic light meter or my Wacom tablet, not having you able to see that, I think is one of the mistakes that we make when we're live streaming. I've made it many times. I'll be thinking about it, all of a sudden they can't see that light, that hair light above my head. That's why having something like my iPhone as a mobile camera or getting a video transmitter of some kind is going to be in my future, and maybe even something bigger to monitor the chat is in my future, because all of those things, guys, is super important. So showing, not just telling, show and tell. especially when you're teaching or training. And that's why having so many inputs has been so important in my studio, because I want to be able to cut to an overhead camera. I don't even have my face cam on, but that's an important camera. Tomorrow at noon, I'm helping a venue from my studio into their location venue, hook up a webcam, Web Presenter HD, as well as a HyperDeck HD Mini or Studio HD. And so I'm going to need every camera angle to show mine, and they're going to have to be showing with their phone in our Zoom call tomorrow what they're seeing, because I can't help them if I can't see it, and so vice versa. So, okay, one more bonus, and then we'll do some live Q&A if you guys want to, or any questions you might have. Getting things too complicated so I can't manage a great stream is my bonus of number 11. I thought, what am I leaving out? Managing all of this, making sure that it's not super complicated. And people would probably accuse me of being too complicated with the Wacom tablet, with a PC and a laptop, with an ATEM Mini Pro, as well as an extreme ISO. And so I'm going to try to streamline the live show and the post shows a little bit more, and make sure that I do the best at all of those things. And so your patience is very appreciated. Even tonight's mess up as we launch the post show, no audio, what do you do? So I can go in and edit it when we're done and take out that dead space, or I can just show people that I'm still making mistakes in this live venue adventure. Okay, so I promised I talked about monetization. Let me just jump in. My channel is all set up. When I open up a video to get it ready to go live now, I have a fourth choice, and that fourth choice is monetizing. And then under that monetizing page, so when you get a video ready, you got to put in your still image, you got to give a description, you got to decide if it's for children or not, which is a topic we're going to talk about in the future, because there's huge growth in the children's area. And with Ratso, with Grandpa Jones, there's things that I could do for kids. So for right now, I'm not going to do anything, but monetizing is one of those choices you get when you hit over 1,000 subscribers. You have to be in good standing with the channel. You also have to have a certain amount of hours. I think it's 40,000 viewing hours within that year. If you hit all those marks, then you have to set up AdSense so that they can pay you and you can advertise. Once that's set up and you get all of those marks set up, which is what I've been doing since I hit 1,000 subscribers, getting the okay from YouTube. As soon as I've done all that, you get an email from YouTube saying, hey, congratulations, you can monetize your channel now. And now I can go to every video on my channel and decide if I want to add ads, if I want to make them not escapable, make you watch the whole ad, all of those things for my channel. So I wanted to tell you guys, I'm still making decisions on how I'm going to run ads on my channel and how I'm going to use that, and what videos I'm actually going to do that with, because I get to choose what videos have ads and what videos don't have ads, what kind of ads I want to have. So there are choices. I will share more in the post shows coming up about those decisions and what they look like when I bring open a video. So we're going to actually look at that. But that's kind of where I'm at. I am going to monetize. I am going to add ads. I just haven't quite decided what videos I'm going to add ads to or not. And every video I create now to upload, I now have that opportunity to choose to monetize or not monetize. I don't have to, but I can. And the channel can start having another stream of income. And some of you already are monetizing your channels, and I respect that and appreciate that. I just have to decide what's in the best interest to my audience, my subscribers, as well as having the channel have an income flow so that I can continue to do demos, add equipment, and eventually grow the channel to a point where people will start wanting to send me things to review and be able to touch some of the things that I can't afford to touch, and make that a part of my channel as well. So we'll see how that goes. I appreciate you guys being in the post show tonight. So any questions that you have, I do have my phone in my hand now that I can answer in the Q&A tonight. So Tony asks, QuickTech Solutions, Keith, have you done any work with faux Mako PTZ cams? They are full featured like the PTZO optics, but 1/3 of the price. First of all, 1/3 of the price probably of like what? An EOS R DSLR camera, like a Sony a6400. No, Tony, I have not looked at those, other than one of the venues that reached out to me over a year ago in the midst of shutdowns. They were getting prepared to go back in their venue and be able to do live streaming. And so they were using a PTZ camera, and we talked about it, how they're going to use it, how they're going to automate it. They also weren't going to get an ATEM. They were going to actually use their Macintosh, use Pro Presenter, stream through, I believe, Restream. I think they're using OBS or some software, and then they actually bought a small, for their little MacBook Pro, they bought a little case and put a DeckLink card in it by Blackmagic Design, which lets them be able to decide if they're going to send a signal out to a monitor or receive a camera signal in SDI. And I think there's some of you guys here on the channel that actually have those. And so you can go directly from a PC laptop or a MacBook Pro, and you can go into that little computer box, and you can use it then as a mini computer to just send out that signal into that card, DeckLink card, and then out or in from those cameras. And then you can just use Mac software or software that you can have on a PC to be able to stream from. And there's nothing wrong with OBS. It's shareware. It's very inexpensive. You can bring guests in by using Video Ninja. You could use Zoom to bring guests in. But like I said, I've been focusing on Blackmagic Design hardware and their control software because of the venues that I'm working with, as well as some of the streamers out there that decided to go the ATEM route. Nothing wrong with the video, way to go. I started using OBS. I got it out tonight because my Canon 5D Mark IV, I believe it was my 4, was plugged in HDMI into a Camlink, and I was going into OBS in my laptop to stream. And you can see that setup in my bedroom that I showed that still image at the very beginning of the last live stream tonight. So, and actually I could bring that still up again just because I brought it up. And I think I can share this real quickly. So there you are. And right here, I was streaming from that camera into my laptop. On the other side was the Camlink in that picture. So that guy right there is where I started. And now I have these crazy ATEMs on my desk. And I love the Wacom tablet because I can open up a PowerPoint presentation and be able to write on the screen. And that's great when you're showing people what the SDI is of the back of a HyperDeck, and that's what I can do. So I can prepare a presentation for whatever client I have those slides ready, and I have a whole folder filled of PNGs of everything you can imagine that I've been using in my studio, from face cams and to I'm going to start getting some still images of the Wacom tablet, how it hooks up, all that stuff, because I want to do tutorials on how those tools can help you be a better teacher, be a better live streamer, be a better consultant, be a better video maker if you do mobile events or inside your studio events or podcasts, talking head videos, all of that. Using these tools, I want to be able to help people be able to do this from long distances, not just come in the studio. And in reality, to do a Zoom call and me isolate the item and not see everything on my desk, and I can't show the back of my ATEMs or the back of my HyperDecks because they're hooked up. So, and I don't have extra ones. So having those slides ready to go and be able to draw on them from the Wacom tablet or just a regular tablet from Wacom and just draw on it. You don't have to have a video type tablet like this one. You can actually have one that just you write on it and then you look on the monitor to see what you're writing. I don't like that. I wanted something I could write on, and you can see I can circle whatever I want on the screen here, and I can go here and hit the eraser and get rid of these, or I could highlight if I just wanted to highlight something. So it's great to be able to have this ability. I can also draw on the screen, and I won't draw tonight, but I will be demoing how you can use a drawing app on the tablet. There's software that you can record that. There's software that you can animate things, so you can have it rain on a drawing that you made inside some of the software, and that's really cool. So I want to incorporate that into my my toolkit and to be able to help people understand how those things work. So great question, great comment. Thank you, Freddie. I will try to monetize my channel. Keith, ventriloquism and comedy would be an awesome second channel for you. You're a natural at it. So yeah, that's from Tony, QuickTech Solutions. So I'm debating it. There is a kid that made, I think it was $37 million last year. And from kids' YouTube video, he now has a team working around him. Because he's getting older now, he started out younger, now he's getting older. He's done an animated channel, so they're actually doing an animation of him, so he can stay young all his life, so there's still a young version of him. I have kids in my circle, grandchildren that watch him, and in, you know, like Blue's Clues was in the beginning of that culture where you had cartoons behind someone, and that technology started clear back in Mary Poppins at Disney, and now in reality, you could have the tools in your studio. You have a lot of the equipment already that you could start animating. And so having Ratso animated and possibly doing some routines with Ratso, having that on a kid's channel, so that would always be there for my grandchildren, for their friends, and I can communicate at their level, and they can get in that because I don't make my videos qualified for children. So they're not going to get any kind of alerts. And there's YouTubers out there that live stream that are monetized on what's called the adult version of YouTube, which we're on right now, that are also doing kids channels. And so some of their videos are going to kids channels and they're receiving a revenue stream from that. So I watched a video on YouTube about this kid and about that. It was kind of a podcast about that. So I'm exploring that. So who knows, there may be, Tony, a kids program. I'll have to stay full-time being a live streamer and start trimming back some of the other responsibilities I have in order to have time to do that, because I'm a team of one right now. And obviously if there's revenue coming in from those things, you can take a portion of that like every business does and dedicate it to adding staff or delegating things so that you have more time to do the things that only you can do. So anyway, PT Optics 20x zoom, $16.99. Filmmaker 20x zoom, $689. Yeah, so that's from Tony. So those are the prices. So right now, if you're to buy a camera body only new, a Canon EOS R, I think it's right around $1,600. You can buy a refurbished one also from Canon, and the refurbished stuff is really well refurbished. And then you'll get some time on those cameras. They won't be at 0 frames clicks, and you can actually do a research on how many times the camera shutter has been used on cameras, but it's a way to save some money. PTZ cameras actually can zoom optically. That's what this venue is using up north of me, and they can zoom in when there's just one person on the stage. They can zoom out for an interview. They can zoom out for music. They can zoom in to the MC, so it's pretty cool. So thank you for that, Tony. And one of these days, I may just happen to have on that back shelf there a PTZ camera where that picture is, which is by someone you may know, Tony. That picture of Batman and Robin on the top shelf may have come from someone very, very near to you. So, okay. Any other questions? Any other comments? Any feedback on how I should monetize? Any questions on the live stream or the post-show stream? Again, these are mistakes I've made. If you're going to live stream or start a studio, learn from them. Again, not making audio sound good, keeping your microphone muted or unmuted, making sure you have good audio. Bad lighting is a bad deal. Missing questions and comments and not responding to your live audience. If you're going to be live, you need to communicate with them. And I may start asking someone in my family to come in and monitor my live chat, because I want them in here in case it's something I need to answer. I do know that you can allow people to monitor your chat away from your live stream, and that's an option as well. And some of you I know well enough to where I could completely trust you to deal with something that was weird going on in the live chat, or just letting me know in a phone message or something, or have another phone in here that you guys could call and say, Keith, your mic is muted. That would have been great tonight because I was not following the chat. Not only missing questions, but testing the stream and hitting record and all that, and your hard drive, making sure that's ready before you go, that your stream key is working, everything is in sync before it's time for you to go live. Macros not being recorded right, not working right, all that should be tested before you go live. Smooth transitions if you're going to get up and go someplace else. You got to take audio with you. You need to have a mobile camera that's not crazy, so you may want to go with a gimbal. And I do know there's stabilization in the new cameras, but that's not the same as something like this. If you want to pan up or pan down, this will kind of force you to go slow and be more stable if you're going to leave this site and go to another site, or just stay put. That's a solution as well. Smooth transitions, bad video and bad audio. Again, having bad video and bad audio with guests is horrible. So make sure if you're going to bring in guests that you do your due diligence and learn how to do that. Test it before you go live. Avoid those horrible times to live stream when everybody else in the world is on. And so keep that in mind. And then number 10, when I demo something, to have a camera on it, including the teaching, training, talking, and video, because this is a video medium. This is not a podcast. And then the bonus was number 11, getting things too complicated and not able to manage a great stream. I think that's super important. So we are at the half hour, which is about as much time as I have tonight, but I will take more time if you want to chat. I am done. I've shared everything I want to share. So if you have any Q&A, I'd love to get any more input from you tonight. If you think the Ratso Children's channel would be good, which is what Tony said. If you have any questions about what I covered tonight, great question tonight, especially in the earlier show, and great comments. I appreciate that very much. And again, just reviewing who is on with me tonight. Freddie, good to have you. QuickTech Solutions, Conjoin Technologies, with me again tonight. Dennis C., I hope you're still here and you didn't bail on me tonight. I apologize for all the crazy stuff tonight. And I think that's it. Going down through the chat, I don't see anybody else. So not a huge audience tonight for the post show, but I want to make it more personal. I want to share mistakes that I've made. All of these I have worked on solutions. So don't have a bunch of time tonight, but I will talk more and more about what I'm doing differently as the time goes on. And again, maybe having a bigger way to look at the chat, dedicated for the chat, which is what I dedicated my phone tonight to. And I even created a new mount to try to keep it just off camera so I can glance down. And I still missed unmuting my mic, and I still missed the chat because it's hard to be looking at the camera and monitoring chat at the same time. So any other questions, guys? We go through here. Thank you, Freddie. Says fantastic as usual. Great night, Keith. Have a good one. Sounds like Tony's ready to head out. Anybody else have a great night, everyone? Cool beans. Thank you guys so much for the chat. And I still got to learn how things work with monetizing because, again, I try to keep those things on the back burner until their potential. So did get a chance to record ISO recordings. I have plenty of discs left tonight, so I didn't make that mistake. So this post show is fully recorded, and I'm looking forward to seeing how I might use that. So again, thank you so much. If you want a 1-hour free consult, or if there's something that I can help you with, answer questions through email, just pop on over to lifejourneyproductions.com. I put that link in the chat or the notes from last Sunday's video. I'll put it in tonight's as well. I'm trying to make notes now. Link to my channel website. So you can go to the contact page, pop in your information there. In the notes, let me know you'd like to have a Zoom conversation. I'd be happy to have that with you. The goal for that is to assist you, free for an hour, maybe a little over an hour, depending on how much time it takes. And then after that, I have programs if you're interested in supporting me, supporting the channel, and having access to my schedule and my brain when you need it. I have programs for that. So thank you so much, guys. It's amazing to have this opportunity and have people like Freddie on all the time and be so supportive. You too, Tony. And Controlling Technologies has been here almost constantly. And who else am I missing? I lost my chat on my phone when I hooked it back in here. Just trying to make sure. Great to have new people on and with me, and just to support. And I hope it's helping you become a better streamer or whatever else you plan to do in your studio. I hope you're learning from this channel, because it does take quite a bit of effort, but I do thoroughly enjoy it. And you never know. I mean, when you do get something as cool as a Wacom tablet, I have someone to share it with. Not that you would like to see me draw, because I couldn't be more rusty after all of these years of not using that skill set and using a mouse. So anyway, so if you want to know more about After Effects, and let me know if there's another piece of software you'd like to know more about that you know I use, like Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, Premiere Pro. Let me know about that. I haven't done a lot of videos on those things unless it supports my HyperDecks series or the live stream, or you being able to use a HyperDeck for keyed out graphics. But let me know if that interests you, or if there's anything else you'd like to see. You can do that in the comments of the video. Any of my videos, I get the alert, and I'd love to hear from you. I hope that you guys enjoyed tonight, and I will see you in the next live stream. Gonna check the chat one more time, because it's a mistake I don't want to make, and it doesn't look like I missed anything. Really glad you appreciate the picture. Yes, I do appreciate Batman and Robin, Tony, for that, and I hope you appreciate the stinger. And if there's any changes that you want me to make of that, you have bonus time, brother, because that made my day getting that Batman and Robin. And the reason Tony did that is that I was just going to do some work for him because of our relationship here on the stream, for gratis. And he acted like he wanted to do something for me. So I said, hey, if you feel so obliged, anything Batman 1966, and surprise, that came in the mail, even though I did get a note from Tony. And so I have that Batman. Let me grab it real quick. I'm going to break a rule and leave the microphone, but you can see me. Officially out of the plastic now, and it's officially on the shelf, and it's got the high spot, because again, and I'm out of this Batman and Robin 1966 phase. This is the last thing that came in my collection. I don't think I'm going to be adding anything else for a while, but it was nice to top it off with someone from my channel doing this, and I appreciate it. Not hinting that you need to send me anything, but I really did enjoy that exchange with Tony. And you can see one of my MC lights, the battery is now at 55%. I don't have it on full brightness. I can flip that off right now, and that's one of those MC lights. I love them because they have magnets on them. They're battery operated. You can remotely control them from the app from Apature. These are Apature lights, and great tool to use on the shelf back there. And you can see the difference with Batman and Robin not having this on there. And let me put it back so you can see the after. So it does add a little pizzazz to that shelf. So with that, oh wait, I sent you a message on the Facebook Messenger with hopes that you can do some training with me. Yeah, so the easiest way, Dennis, is to go to my website, Life's Journeys, and I'll put a link tonight in the chat. Let me see. I think I can paste it in the chat right now. I'm not as intelligent as Aaron Parecki, but I do know how to do this. Aaron Parecki has a live channel, and he puts things in there all the time. Let's go Life's Journey Productions. Find my website here. Go to the contact page to make this as easy as possible. Copy the link. Come on, copy. Go back to the chat and paste. That link should take you directly to the contact page. Dennis, so just fill out that form. That gives us the ability to email back and forth. I don't want to use Messenger or Facebook. I like email because then everything that we talk about, I have a single reference and a single email chain that I use to stay in touch because I've been talking with a lot of people. So I rely on your email chain to make sure that I stay in tune to your needs and I can get ready for each one of our meetings or just that single free Zoom meeting. So I look forward to that. That's exciting. And with that, guys, I am going to head out. And thank you so much for spending your Tuesdays with me. If it's after Tuesday and it's after 1 o'clock and it's Wednesday, thank you so much. That is super trooper stuff. So until next week, I am Keith. This is Life Journey Production Studios, the post show, and I can't wait to join you again here very, very soon. And that's it. See you guys.